Welcome back to the Masters of Recon podcast, your top automotive refinishing podcast with your hosts, Cory Kleinfeld
and Ryan Brewer. Enjoy the show, everyone.
Welcome back to the Masters of Recon podcast. Today on the podcast, Ryan and I continue our talk about how we grow and start and create these RestorFX businesses. Our previous podcasts were about selling to wholesale dealerships and then selling to the retail space. And now today, Ryan and I are going to talk about everything you need to know to actually start, operate, open, and just begin the RestorFX Center. What's up, Brian?
Yeah, what's up, dude? We're going to talk about the space now, right?
Yeah, the space. Like, how do you make it work? And there's different ways to do it. Ryan and I, if you've followed along, we have different paths of doing stuff, and so you get both sides of the coin on how to kind of start the business. First off, I am not at home and I'm in some shared office space and it sounds echoey to me. So hopefully I'm going to try to talk like really close to the mic like that. Maybe this will be better. So it's not as echoey, good. Hopefully, but I don't want to like just stick this right in my face, but I'll try to make it not super echoey for you guys. I'll do my best on that. And Ryan's taken more time away from Hale. So this is a multiple $1,000 podcast for Ryan. Sit here for an hour or so.
No, dude, now my days are filled with paperwork. So
oh yeah, that's so fun.
I know,
business ownership, man. Business ownership. So rewarding.
Yeah, I'm sure a lot of people are struggling with that. I think we've talked about that before. I talk about it with the Corden brothers a lot. The struggle of like getting out of pushing dents, and because obviously we all love pushing dents, and then you're going to stop doing that to do something that you really hate to do, which is paperwork. So you got to choose your battles unless you got a good wife, a really good wife that you can, really trust, but that's still far in between. Yeah. Not that I don't trust my wife. Love my wife. She's great.
Yeah, damn, dude. Hopefully she doesn't listen to this shit.
We just don't work good together, So
well, maybe she doesn't want to work. I mean, my wife doesn't. My wife is smart and college educated and could do all the things that I needed to do, but she is raising the kids and that's what she wants to do. So I hire other people for that. You can create a business around you being the technician. Like that is possible. Sure. Yeah. So we didn't choose those paths because we just have, I would say, maybe different or bigger business type of goals, but you could absolutely create a business around you being the main technician and knock out $500,000 a year, non-Hale for sure. If you have an office manager and a support staff, someone to pick up cars, someone to do all that stuff for you, and you just fix dents all day long, if that's what you love to do.
It definitely takes a certain type of person. It's like we all struggle. We think it's hard to find technicians. It's really hard to find somebody that's going to be able to sell and manage and do all the things that you do. So that's when we've been talking a lot about this religiously, about creating systems, and me and you talk about it, making you treat your business like it's a big, huge company, right? Even if you're a one-man band with somebody in the front office, it's just like having systems in place kind of change the game for that. But so we're always evolving and working on that.
Super important when running just a shop in general. Like right now, I'm actually working remote for the whole week. We're a couple hours away from home. My kids are in a camp, and while they're in camp all day, I'm working. And so, I have 6 people that work for me. Really hard to run a company if there's no systems, if there's no process to do things, right? Because it's all in your head and you do it all. But as soon as you step away, is everything going to work right? Right. If it doesn't work right, what can you point to? So with the systems in place, or this goes for RestorFX and paintless dent repair or any service-based business you're running. If you have those systems in place, and you can have a call with the technician and say, "Hey, did this get done?" And they say no, and you say, "Why not? It's right here. This is what you're supposed to do." So let's do it. That's not going to be perfect, obviously, but you got to write it down so that you can measure it, So okay, here's the process we do. We need to follow the process, and here's why we follow the process. If you think that process is stupid, let's change it. But for now, that's the process. So follow it. Right. You can't just make it up on your own. If you want to change it, I'll have a discussion, let's find the best way to take care of the customers, make it efficient, all that stuff. But
yeah, we get that a lot just because there's no roadmap to anything that we're doing as of now. Right. So I get my guys all the time complain. They're like, "Oh man, you're changing too much," and I'm like, "Well, it's just because that's the nature of where we're at in business. It's like I put a system in place, and it's not concrete, right? It's going to change. It's going to evolve. It might not. That system might not even be here a year from now. But a system is better than no system. I can tell you that.
Yeah, yeah, and a system just literally meaning like just the process to follow, the checklist to check stuff off when delivering a vehicle, when opening the shop, when doing all that type of stuff. And yeah, they're changing all the time, but it's everything we're doing is unprecedented with RestorFX, with paintless dent repair retail shops. There's no one to look at that's so far ahead of us we can just model after specifically. That's the hardest part about what we're doing. But with the difficulty with the blue ocean of PDR and RestorFX, that's where the biggest wins can happen too. And so I think you and me and a lot of other people that we run with and talk to are looking forward to that time as we get closer to it, in my opinion, where we have larger and larger companies because we're entering into that space where we are becoming more popular. With PDR and then RestorFX also as well. RestorFX is new too. I mean, there's a long way for us to travel down that road.
It's funny that we fell onto this topic because I actually think it's more interesting than the topic that we were coming here to
we
talk
can mix
about.
it all up.
Yeah, I think we should throw more in on this. Like we both use the same CRM deal.
Mm-hmm.
Do you use your CRM as not just a customer relations management program, but to manage your shop flow? Do you use it?
Yeah.
And yeah, right.
Mm-hmm.
So a lot of people don't know that. Like, you can use a CRM and the way you build it to manage the flow, not just the customer. Like that, we use it to manage the front end of the shop, and then Mobile Tech RX is going to manage the back end. And I think that having just those two systems mesh really well. And I recently I've always had this problem where our phones, and I'm not bragging or anything, but the phone for Dent Pro USA rings off the hook all day long, whether it's dealership, retail, body shops, whatever. And then with the hail, it kind of opened my eyes because we've had more phone calls than normal, and it's just super hard to keep up with. So Noah with Dentops actually kind of threw me onto this, but it's called Open Phone. I would check that out, because we were trying to just use two systems to run our business. And when I figured out that Open Phone was something that can control the chaos of whether I have 10 phone calls a day or 100 phone calls a day, it's a system that can manage that and help you control that total chaos that happens. So we've adopted that recently, and it's definitely helped a ton, especially when you're growing, getting managers and sales teams and technicians. It's been good for that. I don't know. Are you using any type of answering service or anything, Cory?
No, my manager.
Yeah. So hopefully your phone. I mean, we hope that one day all of our phones ring so much that it's a good problem to have. But to be ahead of the ball,
we don't even. I would say, well, this is maybe a side note, but we don't answer a ton. We don't actually end up answering tons of phone calls, like picking them up the first time. Do we lose some work from that? Potentially, but it's an unmeasurable amount because we will always have communication with those people. There's never been a time where someone calls that comes through our CRM system and then we never chat with them ever again. Either we call them back or we end up text messaging, dude. Because you can text message 15 people at once, like pretty easily with the CRM system. I mean, you can do that with the tags in there. You can go back. You can follow along conversations. But I would just point out too, since we're talking about like kind of running and creating and owning businesses. The reason you and I both started RestorFX, and the reason why pretty much every dent guy starts RestorFX, is they want to actually own a business. It's much more difficult to do that in paintless dent repair. And RestorFX has been a way for a lot of guys to be able to do that. And the only way to do that is to be able to manage, like you said, the systems and the people. So I'm here remotely. I can literally see everything that's happening in my shop. Everything. like one, I have cameras, so that's visually seeing, so that's good. But like I can see every invoice being made, I can see every conversation being had. I have all my phone calls recorded. I can see the money coming in. I can see the credit cards being charged. I can see that, so I can monitor my entire business from not being in there. And that, like, this is a recent thing for me to be able to, since my last hire about 2 months ago. Now I have 3 full-time technicians, RestorFX technician, and office manager. Like, I'm more a business owner than I was 2 months ago, and now I can monitor and see all that stuff. And you have to have that, dude. You have to have that.
Oh, yeah. I mean, all the big money thinkers do it that way.
You have to. Right. There's no other way. Like, you have to be able to look at stuff. You have to be able to see how much money comes in, how the conversations go. Like, I can listen to recorded calls. I don't really that much because I only have the one office manager, but you better believe if I had like 3 or 4 people answering phone calls, I'd be listening. You know, you have to go through and be like, hey, and I've listened to some in the past, and I'll give them tips on it. You know, hey, here's what I would say instead of this or whatever. It's just constant. You know, I can't do everything, but it's my company. And as far as I'm concerned, I know how to do everything the best. Maybe I'm wrong. I will take the input of them, but like I have the mentality of like the way I answer the phone, the way I talk, the way I do all that stuff is the best way to do it. And so I'm going to show you how to do that. And I'm totally open. If you have a better idea or want to change something, you bring it to me. We'll discuss it and we'll adopt your idea. Totally fine. But it's got to be done the same every time. Period.
Yep.
You know,
that's what the systems do. It's great.
Yeah. And so if you can find a way to manage the phone calls, manage the people, manage the leads, manage the estimates and invoices, that's Mobile Tech RX. You have to have these things because, man, I wonder how many people out there actually are trying to run businesses with like 2 or 3 guys and don't have any of that shit. Like maybe they have Mobile Tech RX, but they don't have a CRM system. They don't have a phone call thing. They have nothing. They're just flying by the seat of their pants. Most people, right?
I'd say 90% of people who think they own a business don't. And that's the thing, too. A lot of people think of it as an aggravation because it's a new thing you have to learn, right? Like, we're so tired of learning stuff because you learn how to do dents. You get really good at it. Then you have to learn how to market. Then you got to learn how to make videos and remake those videos and put them on Instagram and TikTok and all this stuff, right? But people don't understand that whenever you create those types of systems, like the everything you just said, you can see everything going on in your business. That creates huge worth as far as making your business more sellable in the future, right?
If you want to sell it, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that's what we're all like. The end goal is to either hand that over to our kids or sell it to one of our employees one day or sell it to a big corporation. And when you have those types of systems in place, it makes it a lot easier for somebody to say, yeah, I don't even know how to push dents, but I can run this business because Cory's been doing it, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So yeah, and honestly, like you gotta everybody wants to sell businesses. Like you hear stories, people make millions of dollars, whatever. Even body shops, you know, like that old shitty body shops getting $2 million for their, from Caliber for their like dump. And looking at my shop, I'm like, mine's way nicer than that. I don't probably gross as much money as they do, but the only way to actually grow and get bigger to a point where you're doing $2 to $3 to $4 million a year in consistent business, and I will attack the hail people, not weather related. No one gives a fuck about weather related businesses. Sorry. It's hard to value a business that is dependent on weather unless you're getting hail every year consistent, no matter what. Different story, but anyways, consistently $2, $3, $4 million. The only way that you can do that without literally losing your fucking mind is to have all these systems in place. There's no other way. I can't imagine a life that we do closer to $2 million and $1 million. And I don't have some process to run it for me. And there's no way, dude. That's my 2 cents on that.
I think if you can't agree with that, then you're old and you're
old,
stuck in your ways, dude. It is what it is, like luckily we have a bunch of younger people coming into the industry that kind of adapt all that stuff. They adapt well to it, right?
Yeah, there's young people that won't want to do this too, probably, and there's old people that would. But yeah, generally you're correct, I would say. It's not as hard as you think, dude. It's really not as hard. It's not as hard to learn as people think it is.
I think it's getting a lot easier as technology, evolves. Like
Yeah.
5 years ago, a CRM was like pointless. Like getting the customer's information, all that stuff was great. But like from what Go High Level and HubSpot did for my business in the past 2 years, 2 to 3 years, it's been crazy. Like I can't see myself without those systems in place now. And they're still evolving every single day that they're constantly changing.
Yeah. I mean, you and I mean, well, we've only been doing a podcast for 2 years, but I know in the beginning of the podcast, we've talked about CRM system. And I know when I was doing the PDR Coach podcast on myself, I was telling people probably in 2019, like you have to have a CRM system. Like there's no, like you have to do it because that's how you grow. That's how you grow a legitimate business. But yeah, and that's the CRM system. We talk about that, but that's just the most in your face system that there is. Like we talk about creating systems and processes to grow a company and replicate the process for a customer, and the CRM system is just the way to do that. That's just a fancy system to do that with,
That's what people really like. Back years ago, people didn't care about getting phone numbers and emails and any type of customer information. And I get people all the time that tell me, man, I'm so sick of people calling me asking for if I could change brakes or, something totally out of that realm that they don't do. I'm like, well, that's your problem. I would want to get as many phone calls as I possibly can to get as much customer information to create this database. I mean, they might not be buying stuff from me now, but now I have your phone number and email address, and you're going to know what I'm selling, whether it's I'm selling RestorFX now or I'm selling it in the future, or if I add different services on. Dude, the power of customer information is so big.
200%.
It's insane.
I'm trying to look this up right now, and I can't remember the freaking dude's name, but I've followed this guy for a while, and it's of course because it's like I'm trying to think of it right now. I can't think of it. It'll come to me, but he talked about buying overstock in Bed Bath & Beyond. And I was following him heavily on Instagram at the time. He's like he's a big investor and buys the companies. I'll find his name. Maybe some of you guys know it, but I remember following on Instagram, and I like following on Instagram because like you can look up articles and stuff. They don't tell you the truth, but it's just him talking on Instagram, telling you what his thought process. Like Bed Bath & Beyond itself, like is old. Like it's done. Like it went bankrupt. They had the as seen on TV stuff. It was like you could go to Target, Walmart, and Amazon, and like why should Bed Bath & Beyond or Overstock.com exist? And I remember this just watching stories one day, and he had a bunch of stories talking about like the only reason he bought that place was because of the customer data. Like who hasn't been to Bed Bath & Beyond once in the last 20 years? Fucking dang near every single person in the country. And he wasn't buying it for anything except for just the customer data. So like that tells you, like, we're obviously a small scale. I have like 7,000 contacts. I'm sure there was probably, he didn't say the numbers, there's probably a database of 100 million people.
Oh yeah.
I would imagine. Right. And all people that went and bought something from Bed Bath & Beyond that was like for their house. So there's a ridiculous amount of value that that he bought them out of bankruptcy, and the people ended up making a bunch of money because they had customer data. So I've always thought about that. I don't think I've ever shared that before, but okay. Yeah. There's an editing issue, but welcome to the spotty Wi-Fi in Lake Tahoe. And I don't know what the fuck I did. I haven't talked about that too much, but I remember that comment I've always think about that every time I put like someone's name and phone number in my CRM system. I'm like, one more contact is another $10 to the value of the company.
Dude, it's crazy.
And so
that's what people should be fighting for now.
Yeah, I mean, it matters. You
don't think it matters now, but like we're moving locations right now into the new facility. And it's like, what easier way is it to contact all of our past clients and say, hey, this is where we moved at? And then those people are like, oh, man, I forgot that I even have a dent on my car. Or they start looking at our Instagram and all this stuff. And then it starts bringing more customers in. It's powerful, dude.
Yeah. And we'll go back to what we wanted to originally talk about and adding services. I mean, we tell our customers that we offer new services now, whether it's ceramic coating, RestorFX, et cetera. And that matters too. That's the best way to tell people. You could update your website, and you should, and you can make a social media post to all 300 of your followers who people see it. or maybe 50 people see it, but there's no better way to do it. And just tell the people that have already given you money that we have new services for them, so they can give us more money. And we're not creating a new problem to solve. The problem's already there. And we're just taking the work from the other people. The same thing with paintless dent repair. We're just, the dents have already been there, and most people either leave them or take them to a body shop. But the ones that don't want to go to the body shop because it's too expensive, we have an option for them. And same thing with RestorFX. Like, we're not creating a paint correction industry. That's already created. We just have the best option. So we just got to tell people that,
Yep.
So that's the way I look at it.
Yep, I like it.
So yeah, I think we should talk about what we originally intended talking about, which is like basically creating a shop environment for RestorFX. We could talk about all services, but
yeah. So you did it on a smaller scale in the beginning, right?
I'm like a baby step kind of guy. I like to lay a really deep foundation.
Yeah. Did you think that it was that in detail of what you needed to get and have when you got on to RestorFX? Did you think like, oh, I'm just going to spend this money and then I'll be able to just plug this stuff right into what I'm doing now?
Yeah, I thought that. I was wrong though.
I think everybody does. I mean, I did, right?
Yeah, we all do. Yeah.
And I even had a background on painting, so I was like, I kind of understand the cleanliness.
I know clear coat. I get it.
Right? Not as much as I thought,
Yeah.
So at that point, it's like we're talking about lighting, different types of lighting. It's not the paint correction lighting that everybody's used to looking at. It's the same lighting that we use as dent guys, pretty much, right? I think you kind of have the same stuff.
Oh man, we've had LEDs or halogens. I mean, we do both. It just depends. Like for some reason, it's good to have both. That's part of the problem. Like we have both of them, we use them for different things. And so, thinking I could just have a well lit shop with some mobile lights from whatever shit I got on Amazon was one thing. But now that I got my new shop 6 months ago, and I got the amount of lights in my shop now. If you follow the Advanced Skill Seminar or whatever, I have a lot of lights in my shop, and they're very specific lights. They have the specific lumens on them. I have like 6 rolling lights as well, and 2 different kinds, LEDs and halogens. Halogens? Is that right? That seems right.
Yeah.
Yeah. It sounded weird. I don't say that word very often. Halogen light. And so, yeah, I mean, there was so much more setup and preparation than I thought there needed to be. But again, we're trying to do high quality work though too. I mean,
well, it's also for a good reason. It's like the presentation of having all that stuff in your shop.
Yeah.
And every time somebody comes in your shop or my shop, they're like, oh my God. I'm like super comfortable bringing my car here because this place is nicer than my house. Right.
Yeah.
So it's like it's not wasted money. You're not doing it just to have it. It's all there for a purpose.
Yeah. Yeah, 100%. And honestly, like having to take a step back, having all of the systems in place that we had when moving to a new shop and adding services makes a significant difference. That you can tell people about it, but there's three different aspects to the business. You have to let people know you exist. You have to make them feel comfortable with the process before they drop it off, and then you have to perform a high quality repair. Those are the 3 different aspects of getting customers to there's a bunch of different arms off of that, like how do you get attention and all that stuff. But those are the 3 aspects, and checking all 3 of those boxes is super important. And a lot of people only do 1 or 2 of those things really, really well. So having the customers find you, making them feel comfortable, and then performing high quality repairs. That's what's going to create a business that's going to last a long time that you can continue to grow. And then finding a way to replicate that over and over and over again, and finding a way to replicate that without you doing it. Like these are the steps. These are the steps of business that we're trying to get across to you guys through the podcast and through other forms of communication that we have. But Yeah, that's part of it. And to be honest, like we've added so much more stuff to our shop just because we want to give the highest quality repair possible, you know?
Correct.
Yeah.
Have you started doing touch up yet? I know you said you.
Yeah, we've been doing touch up for a long time. We've been doing touch up for a long time.
Oh, okay.
Since for like a year and a half, I would say.
Yeah. What system?
Yeah. The RestorFX system.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Yeah. Not Dr. Color Chip. I know that's an option as well, but there's several different options. But yeah, we do fine with the RestorFX kit. We mix our own paints up. There's a couple colors that my guy looks at and he's like, buy it from the dealer. I don't want to make, I mean, it's true. Like some of that stuff.
No, yeah.
I mean, some of it's like, dude, like I'm not going to get it right. Just buy it from the dealership and they might not get it right. Like it's still going to be not perfect, you know, but at least like that's the best shot we got. I know that there's probably the best way possible is like mixing based off weight, like you're painting the car, but we don't do that.
Yeah, you have to have a whole system for that.
Like yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly. That's super.
That's pretty much what you. Yeah, but that's pretty much what you have. You just don't have the mixing, like program.
Yeah, it's a eyeball. Yeah.
Yep, and you're still doing glass repair.
Yeah, I do still do glass repair. Yeah, I mean minimal. We just are selling it to the customers that are in the shop. It's just an added service, super simple, super easy. We charge $75 or $100 for chips.
Yep, I know.
I just like
Jeremy Carroll was one that we kind of helped out a lot, trying to get him and his shop rolling, both on the like process side and then on the equipment side. Do you have a curing lamp?
Yeah, of course.
Yep. Where did you get that?
I actually I had bought one off Amazon that was recommended through RestorFX, and then I had a RestorFX Center nearby who wasn't doing RestorFX anymore, and so I bought his old lamp.
Nice. So, those things are like,
I got two.
I don't think it's pretty crucial to have one of those things. I know it's not something you use every day, but you'll get like a whole week or a couple of days in a row where you're just like using it that whole time.
Yeah.
And that's something that it's a couple $1,000 investment, but it's something that speeds up the process and makes sure when cars leave your shop, it's like, you know, it's good to go. And I use it on a different scale where we're like the only shop in the city that actually cures ceramic coating before it leaves.
Yeah.
Right. So we run that curing cycle on it, and the customer don't have to wait 2 weeks to wash that car and all that stuff. So
follow all the process. So you're curing every ceramic coating?
Not all of them. It's if it's if it's super sunny outside, we know it's not going to rain. We'll have the car sit outside and bake. And it'll do a good job doing that. But if we can, we like to cure everything that except for the dealership stuff because it's moving so fast.
Yeah.
But you do RestorFX and you want to put ceramic on it that very next day, you have to run at least a couple hour cycle cure time on it. You know?
Yeah, for sure.
So
yep. There's more and more RestorFX competition talk that I hear coming out, liquid paint correction stuff. Have you been seeing more or no? Same.
Man, I guess I've just been so busy with the hail stuff. I haven't heard. I mean, I know where's that other stuff? It's snake oil.
Yeah, Rock Clear snake oil. I think that's the same company. Yeah, that's been.
Yeah, we've talked about this, man. I think RestorFX is so far ahead of the game. In that industry, it's almost like Expel for window tint. Everybody's kind of talking about it being like it's stuff's just like RestorFX, and it's not like it. It is like it. It's not comparable, I would say.
No, it's similar. I agree to the similarity of it as far as it being a liquid paint correction. But I would say just like paintless dent repair, dude. There's like you can get some metal rods and call yourself a dent guy. There are liquid paint correction versions of stuff you can buy online. You can call yourself a paint corrector too. And so just understanding, and then that's why we're creating that environment. We're creating that shop environment. We're putting the time, effort, money, and ability into all that, so that we can show people the difference. That goes back to everything we talked about in this podcast and even previous this podcast is having the systems, having the shop, having the experience, having the confidence, having the customer guarantee, etc. But we've had a couple of weird situations of cars coming in lately with some shit on there. I don't know if it's like a DIY stuff or what's going on with that, but we've seen a few of them.
Did they let you know like it's got something on it?
No, of course not.
Kind of pawn it off.
Yeah,
they're like, I don't know what that is.
Yeah, no. Like the guy that never fixed his own dent, I'm like, I can see that someone fixed it. So,
unless you got metal. Unless you got metal fingers, dude, I think you tried fixing it.
Yeah, unless you got metal fingers. I'm actually starting. I think today. Actually, I've signed up for the RestorFX ad campaigns.
Oh, cool.
So I'm going to run a demo on that for 3 months or so. Well, in my head, it's 3 months. It's not officially 3 months, but in my head, I'm going to run for a few months and I'll track it through my CRM system and see what kind of ROI I get on it. But I'm curious to see. I've run some ads here and there, some Facebook, Instagram stuff, like hit or miss, but I've never run a consistent ad spend. And so I'll keep you all posted how that goes. Pretty much. It's supposed to be a really good system.
Yeah, no, I think that's evolved in the past few years, where I think it's become a lot better to work with. So that was my question. Like, going along with the social media stuff, how powerful do you think it is for somebody that know how to? Do you do your own editing, or do you have somebody come in that kind of does a few videos and post that stuff for you?
I've been doing my own editing right now. I've been doing all my own editing right now. To be honest with you. Should I be? Probably not.
Unless you like it, unless you're like a Mike Toledo that loves doing that stuff.
No, I don't love it, but I like having control over it, I guess. So there's more things I still need to sub out and become more of a business owner. But for now, I'm still doing that. I still write blog posts, majority of the blog posts and the videos. I use AI to help me, obviously, with that stuff. But I'm still a majority of that. But with the ad campaign run through RestorFX, I'll give you guys all the straight details. Like, that's why we do the podcast. So I'll give you guys my ROI, how much I spent, how much I made, how many leads I got. I'll tell you guys all that. So stay tuned for further episodes on that. But
they're going
to do all that for me. Yeah. Well, they're already all made. Like, it's right. They got, let's say, I don't know how many, let's say 50 of them, and they run a few of them through the campaign system. It should be, if Cameron, the guy who runs all that is trying to make it easy for himself, he should be able to click a few buttons and turn it all on. I mean, it should be the same 50 or 100 videos, I would imagine.
Yeah.
But
as long as it's working.
I don't have to create 50 or 100 videos and create the copy for the ads and do all that. So it's just built into my Facebook. I made him an admin on my Facebook business suite, and then my Facebook is connected to my CRM system. And so I can monitor it. Like, you can't just throw money out there just to see what happens, without being able to measure it. You don't know if you should spend more. Like, for instance, I'm going to spend $1,000 a month. So I'll start there. So I'll spend $1,000 in the first month, and we'll see if I make any money. But say over 3 months, I spend $3,000. If I make $15,000 off of that, I spent $3 on ads, made $15,000, so that's $12,000. Take off, what I paid my guys, yada yada. And I figure out what my ROI is. And so if I'm spending $3,000 in the quarter, maybe next quarter I spend $6,000 and see if it doubles again. And then I spend $9,000. You would never do that if you're not measuring it.
Right.
Like, you just want
with the system.
You got to be able to measure that stuff. And so, like, the reason I hadn't done it is because I hadn't put the time and effort into, like, I could have emailed Cameron and said, hey, let's do it. Here's my credit card info, just run it. But I wanted to give myself a system for myself to monitor that. Like, every week I'm going to look into it. I'm going to do this. I wanted to connect all that stuff in my Facebook and CRM system and run some tests on it to make sure I like the way it looked. and do all that, so that when I do start it, I can start it in a way that I can hopefully replicate it. Instead of just I'm sure there are RestorFX centers out there that just run ads, and then they're like, it doesn't seem any busier. It doesn't feel busier, so I guess I'll just stop ads. And they're just like, I mean, it's the truth. Like in theory, retail RestorFX is roughly $1,000 for retail RestorFX, just like a high end paint correction. Not even high end, just a paint correction. So if I get a car off of it, fine. Hopefully, I get 5 or 10 cars out of it. We'll see. Time will tell.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I forgot I think we've talked about it before, but how crucial is it to have like some type of porting vehicle?
Porting vehicle? Oh, like a runner car?
Runner car. There you go.
Yeah, that's necessary.
Yeah, it's like
really, really fucking necessary. Yeah.
Yeah, it's about as necessary as the application towels you use to apply the RestorFX.
Dude, human labor is very expensive.
Yeah.
As you know. And there's an obligation that comes with, like, the hardest part about my day-to-day now is that I feel like a big sense of obligation to make sure that everybody's busy and I'm feeding everybody's families. I mean, to be perfectly honest with you, like, that's important to me. Like, I've the 6 people that work for me, I want to make sure that everyone's making money. And so I don't ever want, like, even though I'm, this could be more of a vacation, but I'm making sure I'm spending 6 or 7 hours a day out here making sure that they're busy. So I'm making the phone calls, I'm following up with people, I'm still quoting cars remotely. I'm making sure everybody's busy. And that's super, super important to me. So hiring another person on instead of giving my guy a car to drive to a dealership is a bigger responsibility for me. So I'm only hiring if I have to, for sure. Like if I can find a way, rent a car being like, my guy will take the car, park it to the dealership, and he brings the car back. I have an office manager already, so if he needs to get 2 cars, they will drive together and they'll bring 2 cars back. But that's all we're really doing at this point is 2 cars max a day. Most days we're still doing 1. To be honest with you, that's why I'm running the ads. And that's partially on me, partially on environment. I mean, there's a bunch of reasons, but I know it works. I know everything. I know the RestorFX process is fantastic. So I'm going to start running more ads to see if I can bring in more retail work. Honestly, I'd rather do that than dealership work.
Oh yeah.
To be honest.
Well, it's more satisfying too. Like you don't get any type of satisfaction from the dealerships because they don't even go look at the stuff anymore, right?
Yeah. No.
So when a customer comes and picks up and they're like, they got tears in their eyes, it's like everybody as a whole, the guy who installed the stuff, the person who sold it, you as a business owner, everybody's super happy. Yeah.
I 100% agree with that.
Yeah, but that's you were saying it like you feel the obligation to have to like make sure your guys are fed and their families are fed. And it's not like dude. That never stops, right? It's like I'm just not trying to make
it's only going to get worse.
Yeah, it's like I'm not trying to make sure you get fed till this Friday. It's like I need to make sure you're fed for the rest of your career.
Yeah, forever. I mean, that's why I think long and hard about whether you want to grow a company and hire people, because there's an obligation there. And if there's not an obligation there, you're just going to fail as a business owner. Like if you don't feel obligated to make sure that your guys are busy and making what they want to make, or maybe even pushing them a little further to make more, it's not going to work. But I feel probably that responsibility more than even my guys do. Like I'll apologize to them. Like we worked on Friday, July 5th. Probably shouldn't have done it. Because it was a fucking day. Everyone take the 4th off. We didn't take the 5th off. 3 people canceled. They're probably drunk or I don't know what they canceled for. And I called my guy and I said, I'm sorry. Like you work on 100% commission. You came in, you had 4 jobs, 3 of them canceled. Like I'm sorry. Like that's on me. Now he made less money for the day. He drove his ass up there. He worked on the Friday, made less money. That feels bad for me. He was like, that's fine. I was going to go home early. It's cool. Like no big deal. Like I feel it more than he does. Like I feel more obligated than he does. And he's like, I see the schedule next week. We're packed up, but I'm like, I think there's obviously an unhealthy level to it. Obviously, I'm not going to obsess over it or change my entire life for it, but I think it's important to feel that way.
Oh yeah.
And so every time I hire somebody, it's a commitment to them to make them successful too, you know?
Right.
So, yeah, I'm going to buy a car if I can buy a car because I don't give a fuck about that car.
Oh, dude.
So that's my spiel on that thing.
That's good, man. I like it.
Yeah. So, man, sometimes feel like I have so much information in my head to give, but I don't know if sometimes we do more sporadic all over the place, but if you listen, this stuff's there, you know?
Yeah.
It's there for
you just got to sift through it. Yeah.
Yeah, it's there for you. Anyways, yeah, so that's what I got for you today. Pretty straightforward one.
Yeah, it was. I think that everybody needs to remember. I know we weren't really here to talk about the systems deal, but that's always going to be big. And then all the people who are, whether you own a RestorFX or you just bought one, just know that the money that you put into the actual workspace it's for something. You're not just doing it just because it looks good. We all need it, and don't be scared. It's just like the dent stuff. We're not scared to buy dent tools because we know that it's going to make us money, right? It's going to get paid off. It's a write-off. It's all the good stuff. But, you know, you guys need that work environment to feel comfortable and push out the best quality that they can. So you just got to stay on top of that.
Yeah, 100%. Reach out to us. Like, I know there's like literally hundreds and hundreds of people listening every week. This is a one-sided conversation for us. We're not super active in the Master Recon Facebook group, but we do have the Master Recon Facebook group. You can go in there and ask a question. People will always answer you. You can reach out to us directly. I actually am back on doing one-on-one coaching calls. So if you want some more like specific help with your business, instead of just, you know, Ryan and I or other guests coming on here and talking generally what you can do to help. Every situation, every business, every environment's a little different. So if you want to talk one-on-one on that, we can do that too. But yeah, I mean, we're a resource for you guys, and it's podcasts are an interesting thing. We've talked about this before, Ryan. They're an interesting thing because it's very one way. You and I talk to each other. We interview guests. We do all that. Like, I can see the metrics. There's literally hundreds and hundreds, like some 400 to 700 people listening every time we do one. And we don't know. We don't know what direction you want us to go. We don't know if you like what we're talking about. We don't know if you're getting value out of it. So go to the Masters of Recon Facebook group and ask us questions. Tell us like, hey, can you guys talk about this? Can you guys talk about this? We'll do it. We're totally fine with that. So if you guys have things you want us to know about or people you want us to interview or whatever, like we're happy to do that. We want to be an information hub for all things RestorFX, the good and maybe even the bad a little bit, or the realness of the whole thing. The realness of it, and talk about how to grow a business, multiple services shop. So we talk a lot about dent repair and RestorFX and, you know, all the other, I would say, smaller additional services. But yeah, if you guys have anything for us, like it's very simple to let us know. Go to Facebook, go to Masters of Recon Facebook page, ask us, or DM us. That's fine. Yeah. We'll answer.
Thank you for listening to another episode of the Masters of Recon podcast. If you're getting value from this podcast, then please subscribe to the show and give us a review so others can find our show as well. And if you haven't joined the discussion yet, then go find us over at Masters of Recon Facebook group to join the weekly discussion. See you all next time.